Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Terry, and we're Diary Fairy. Let's talk about our app. We're a social application to improve the mental health for teenagers. Think of us as a fairy living inside a diary. We're always ready to hear, to listen. When teenagers record what they're thinking, their thoughts and feelings, our AI technology will be able to map out their emotional behavior. And we're also ready to help and listen anytime, whenever they want. But why are we doing this? This is actually a really sad truth because people died. In the past year, 29 teenagers has passed away due to undiagnosed mental issues. This is a very alarming rate, and 7 out of 10 kids are emotionally disturbed. They're mostly reasoned from academics, family, and relationships. However, these kids cannot voice themselves out. They're vocabulary and cognitively unable to talk about these issues, to express their thoughts and feelings. To make matters even worse, the cost of waiting is really high. When they want to see a public hospital, a mental health clinic, the waiting list takes up to 3 years, while the private consultation of a psychiatrist would cost up to $20,000 per year. This is very alarming, and we're really serious about this. It's very inaccessible for most families. However, depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide. Globally, and in Hong Kong, the government is spending $5.7 billion this year on mental health awareness and their problems. It's projected to double the amount to $12.7 billion next year. This is a dire issue. So, what if? Let's imagine this. What if we can provide personal consultation for all teenagers in Hong Kong at scale? We reintroduce the diary writing. Think about yourselves. When you guys were young, we used to write diaries. But the kids these days, they don't really talk about their thoughts that much. So we want to gamify it. We want to add a fun and social twist to our application to make it attractive to the kids to lock down their feelings. Let's just run through a demo to see how it looks like. So basically, when the kids diarize their thoughts and feelings, they become more aware of their emotional behaviors. They understand that what's going on around them. And through a long period of time, our app will be able to identify the segments of the words, and we'll be able to push out the correct responses. We give out strategies and tools to help them alleviate their stress. We train them to see things in more positive lens, and this is a very key part. With the prolonged use of the app, we get to track the data of how their usage behavior. And this is very useful for expert diagnosis when they want to see how the patients are acting. And this, in order, can help them prevent suicidal risk by early identification. We want to stress one thing. We're not providing a substitution of therapy, but we want them to be more aware of their self-mental health awareness. And that will help them to seek doctors, seek their parents, seek for counselors' help immediately as soon as possible. So yeah, teens can be more aware of their mental health issues. And this is something I found when I was working for Pfizer, a pharmaceutical company. I worked with a lot of psychiatrists. Over the time, I realized one thing. When the psychiatrists work with children, many of them are unable to tell them their problems because the psychiatrists are 3 times their age. And you're asking these children to tell them about their deepest fears, their darkest secrets. That's improbable. We realized one aha moment, something that strikes us really, really hard, is that when we humans talk to other people, especially robots, we're more open and willingly to be honest. So in that sense, they know that we're anonymous, and the companionship that this app offers with a result will lead to more honest opinions, honest advice, going into the app. With better input, they'll be able to have better diagnosis and faster results. This actually works. We have actually launched our app 3 days ago, our prototype. Through online and offline marketing campaign, we've resulted a really nice usage rate. We garnered 2,000 active users in just 3 days with a 500% of day-to-day growth. As you can see, these are the chats that is in our backend system. So it's a very fast-growing rate, and we know that people are adapting to it very well. Let's talk about our technology. A lot of our technology is based on data, and there we have a paper for you in front. It's one of the research of our other co-founding members that's not here today. We have mined extensively over 60 million traditional Chinese texts for text mining. And we have achieved a 98.5% of tokenization accuracy. And this leads our app to map out the personality in a very accurate sense. And it's statistically significant. I want to stress one thing, is that our app is very proprietary. That means that no other companies outside can copy our technology because these data are private to us. In terms of our revenue model, first of all, we're targeting the Hong Kong Quality Education Fund. We're targeting the public school sectors, such that the councils have the license to know how their kids, their students are using this app. We aim to secure 1.6% of the QE fund. Since the QE fund, the aim of this fund is to enhance and promote positive development of students in their learning behaviors. We're also targeting private schools and international schools that are more resourced. These are also the schools that have a higher stress rate, as we found in the results and in our research. We aim to sell our license for $30,000 per year, and we are targeting 90 schools by 2019. We can estimate that this will reach up to 54,000 teenagers by the end of this year. And lastly, we're also targeting pharmaceuticals and private clinics such that the doctors can monitor the patients' drug compliances and also how they use, how their mental state when they're outside. With the fund of HKSEC, we'll be able to pump up our product as soon as possible. We're already in the phase of product development, but I think it will really help us in the distribution network. And we're aiming to have this product out by the August 2019. I want to talk about our team members. I want to say that why we're the perfect solution for tackling this problem. Kian and I knew each other 8 years ago when we were both at McGill University. We worked for a student club of social injustice for underprivileged youth in Montreal. Cecilia, I met her through CUHK, and she is an aspiring Juris Doctor candidate. Teresa here, she graduated from a master's in Columbia University, and she is now a working psychologist who is also our medical advisor, telling us about the scripts and how to push out the correct responses at the right time. And last but not least, we have our engineer, Andy, who just published his article with the University of Cambridge, and which we base our whole idea off. So I want to wrap this up with one more slide. The WHO is telling that over 300 million of kids suffer from depression issues. We want to talk about one very important aspect, is that we here provide AI technology, which is what Keegan does best. But there's one catch. We believe that the human touch is irreplaceable. What we are offering is that we provide the help with easier accessibility, such that the kids can seek the right help at the right time with the right people. So, in conclusion, we hope that finding help is as easy as writing a diary, and hence the diaries are here. Thank you very much. This is our presentation. I'd love to hear your questions.
What I've heard is that you're not trying just to construct another game, another toy. You're trying to do something very serious in terms of early identification, screening, and so on, right? Yeah, correct? And then I'm very concerned about the type 1, type 2 error, false positive, false negative, and so on. The paper you have just given to us based on the data set that is foreign, yeah? Not from Hong Kong, in English, I presume, the 500 written post that you're based on. I'm concerned about the validity and reliability and how that could be applicable to the local Hong Kong Cantonese context.
Yeah, that's actually a very great question. So what we're seeing here is sort of a brand new solution, right? We're taking the latest cutting edge research that focuses on labeling. So if you, one of the key features in that paper talks about how the University of Cambridge actually labeled every single one of the dialogues, the thinking error that's made in the dialogues, as well as the actions that psychologists prescribe. One of the things that Terry mentioned early on is that we actually possess around 60 million traditional Chinese dialogues. So that's for the local markets. And how we access that data is actually one of our co-founders, he built a dating app back in school. So what we're doing is really we're labeling this brand new data set that's local to this market, taking insights from the cutting edge research around the world. So I think this is a big issue that we're going to address one step by step. In phase one, what's really important, if you notice, is actually that we kind of simply ask the users how they're feeling. Right? So, 今天天气如何? What's your feeling today? So even from these small emojis, we're actually getting signs about how the users are feeling. And if we dig into this is the actual use case, we simply ask the users how they're feeling. We're talking about their relationship issues, family issues, and so on. So in phase one, what we're really doing is detecting the keywords that's crucial, right? So if they say stuff like, I'm considering suicide, that's something that we immediately flag. Later on, as the technology gets better, we're able to address your concern in a better way.
So you're saying that you would, because it's AI is deep learning, so you should allow it to learn and become smarter in the future, right? So how long will it take before it becomes really smart and really can do the screening?
If I had the answer, we don't know. That's a frank truth. The way we believe it is this is such a big issue that we need to address it step by step. By our estimation, by 2020, we'll be able to actually map out a good, a strong enough model, and that's based on around 100,000 users of local characteristics. So it's an estimation. It's something that we firmly believe in, and we're dedicated to actually make it happen.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the impact is definitely valuable, but obviously AI is pretty new to us. And can you just differentiate the state of your value chain regarding the diagnosis of the emotional state to the moment that your app will also alert individuals to really look for professional treatment? And how would that be? I just want to make sure that I understand about the whole process of your impact and value development.
Absolutely. So let's take it again in the phase sort of framework. So in phase one, what we're seeing here is that we're simply prescribing them we're prescribing a technique called CBT, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy. And in CBT, the most important thing is identifying the thinking error. So what we're seeing here is that in phase one, we're actually simply kind of teaching the kids and providing awareness. How are you feeling right now, right? And we provide simple tactic to teach them what they should be doing. So I keep talking on an idea called thinking error, right? So an example would be something called all or nothing thinking. So in all or nothing thinking, it's very easy for teens to actually, they get a bad exam, bad grade. They're going to think my entire world is crashing, right? But that's not the reality. So our technology simply reminds them that, look, yes, it's things are bad right now, but take a deep breath. There's small tactics you can do to kind of help yourself. So that's phase one. In phase two, I think that the key question you want to ask is, at what point do we alert therapists, do we alert real help? And frankly, that's something that we're still trying to figure out. In the POC that we did, we're simply trying to answer the simple question that actually Dr. Feng mentioned, do kids even want to use it? Right? Is this even something that people are going to be using with strong retention? If that's not answered, then this process doesn't work. So I think that's absolutely proven. In terms of how do we lead them to the right therapist, that's something that we're going to be addressing in the next few months. Yeah.
You guys are developing the AI model behind it, as far as I understand it, right? So I'm looking at at your price point. You are targeting to sell to the school for 30,000 Hong Kong dollars for 1,000 users. Is that the assumption, right?
Yeah.
With that, I'm not too sure if you're launching it through the school, if the kids would be willing to participate, because it's supposed to be a very personal thing, and I may have thought that, like, if I'm a student, or schoolmate, tap into the data. So how are you going to tackle that?
So we're thinking of a top-down approach. Like, we want to integrate our system into the civil studies of social studies. But for the schools, they're not really tracking what they type. They're only tracking their participation rate. This is something that available in our backend to show the school that how many kids have typed up a diary in this week. And these are some metrics that we want to show. We're not really tapping into their privacy because we think that is very dangerous. We won't want the teachers next day to come up to the student and say, like, hey, you said that last night, are you okay? We think that is a really scary red flag. But there's this one point in our app that is the helpline. Whenever the kids type a phone emoji, that would connect them to their school counselor. Or if it's the patient case, they would connect it to the doctor or the nurse to book for to schedule for some consultation. We think this is very important because in Hong Kong, there's a statistic to say that for suicide patients that have suicidal risk, the average number of hours to treat them, to consult them, would be 33 hours. But due to the lack of manpower, right now Hong Kong is only averaging 14.2 hours. So we want to really direct the resources to the ones who really need it. And I think this is something that our app can really help bridge between the users and the customers, which is the teachers at this point.
And just to sort of add on, main concerns you have is if today this is it for the kids are going to worry that the school is monitoring. So I actually have a minor in education back in McGill, and my girlfriend actually works in international schools. One thing that's really interesting these days is that the relationship between teachers and students are kind of changing. So a big part of our feature is it's an opt-in thing, right? It's something that we provide to the kids. It's not forced, and I think that is the crucial reason why we're making it fun. We're making it social. We're gamifying this experience. So with simple online and offline campaign, we did not expect 3,000 kids. Honestly, we wanted to show you guys 50, 100 kids, but it blew up, right? So that's, obviously great for us, but it's also a little bit alarming for the state we're in right now. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.